Black beetles are pasture-eating pests originally from South Africa. They're now found in most of the warmer regions of the North Island. We went to AgResearch's Ruakura campus to find out what the latest studies are indicating regarding the control and management of the beetle.
We've been lucky enough to have had 3 years of funding for research on black beetle through the Sustainable Farming Fund. Dairy NZ have provided co-funding, a lot of other stakeholders as well. And we've been able to really look at the effect of the 3 tools that farmers have got in the toolbox at the moment for addressing black beetle. Firstly is if you've got a really bad problem with black beetle on your farm, it's time to think about spending time out of grass. Black beetle are really only interested in grass, so if you can go through a cropping phase and kind of break that cycle, that's pretty effective. End of fight is a really critical part of that toolbox as well. It's perhaps arguably the most important part. So choosing an effective end of fight like AR37 or NEA2 is a very good insurance policy. And the other one is when new pastures go in, it's really important to look at using correctly treated seed. So the seed treatment process has an insecticide in it that's pretty effective against black beetle as well. But even used collectively, even used in all of those 3 things lined up, will give you no guarantees against black beetle.
This beastie spends probably 9 months of the year as an adult, and we have them just here, just feeding on carrot, where we keep them to be able to experiment on them. These feed on the tillers, at the base of the tillers. They don't really do much damage except to seedling ryegrass. But it's this stage here which is particularly damaging. This is the larval stage. He's a really big beastie, and he feeds right up in the crown of the plant. And that damage is occurring in January, February, right when the stresses are coming on the pasture. So there's a lot of environmental stress, the grass isn't growing very well, and these guys are just taking up roots and killing the plants. These are grass grub larvae, and they'd be very, very small in January and February, and they really do their damage and start to do their damage in April, May, and that's their maximum size they reach. So there's quite a big difference in size.
These trials are a graphic demonstration of the impact of black beetle on an array of different cultivars and of endophytes as well. So there's a bit of a 10-cent mixture in here, but it's most clearly demonstrated with these 2 here. So these are both the same cultivar, these are both Samson, both the same grass. The only difference between them is the endophyte. So this is AR37, and this is nil endophyte. So you can see that these unprotected by endophyte, these unprotected cultivars, whether it's nil or AR1 would likely have a similar sort of outcome as well. The impact, these plants are much bigger, much healthier, and these are doing it tough. And at a whole pasture level, the impacts are pretty significant. There's a couple of different techniques that you can use to assess whether you have a black beetle issue. You can use yogurt containers about this sort of deep and maybe that sort of round. Just cut a hole and put them into the ground so they'll level with the soil surface. Black beetle wander along and fall into them. But perhaps one of the more dramatic methods of assessing black beetle populations is by providing with a carbohydrate source. Adults present from maybe March through to October commonly. During that period, if you can provide them with a carbohydrate source, just put a few out in the paddocks, come along the next morning, they're active at night, come along the next morning, lift them up, and you'll often find black beetle underneath them. What we've been able to show is that we may have some new tools to add to those 3 existing ones. It's early days. The science is, I'd hesitate to say conclusive. We certainly need more data. But one of the things we have noted is that where the pH is high, where the paddock pH is higher, we seem to get black beetle, a fewer black beetle, and the black beetle that are there don't do quite so well. The larvae don't grow so quickly. The black beetle adults aren't quite so large. So there seems to be some effect of soil pH. The other thing is we have a clearer picture now of the linkages between the El Nino cycle and black beetle outbreaks. And certainly the black beetle outbreaks tend to follow one of those dry summers. The other piece of research that we are in the very early stages of is trying to look at a new biocontrol agent. The biocontrol agent that we're looking at was originally being looked at as a biopesticide for both Purina and grass scrub. It's a bacterium that was isolated from New Zealand soils. We will need to go through the usual EPA process to get that approved, but it's proving to be very effective against black beetle. There are chemicals that are registered as insecticides for pastoral use, but really they're ineffective against black beetle for a raft of reasons. They just don't work at the time of the year when you need that impact. It's not something that's effective, and particularly on a cost-effective basis. We hope that farmers have been hearing some pretty consistent messages from all of industry. This is part of the research project, as well as been looking at all of the industry channels for this information. So we hope that they've got good, strong pastures with the appropriate endophyte that will provide them some protection against black beetle in this coming season. But look, if you do have an issue with black beetle, and you have some paddocks that are susceptible, and you've identified that this is a problem in your paddocks, then the best thing you can do this summer is to think about going into a crop, and certainly think about your whole forage supply, whether it's grown on farm or whether you're buying it in from elsewhere. The entire forage chain is something you should be putting your mind to.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.